The morning sun barely touched the windows of Kensington Palace when Catherine received the call that would change everything. She stood frozen in their private apartment, her phone trembling in her hand as the doctor's words echoed in her mind. The test results were conclusive, and the news was devastating. William was away on royal duties in Scotland, scheduled to return that evening. Catherine paced their living room, her eyes falling on family photographs that lined the mantelpiece. George's gap-toothed smile, Charlotte's mischievous grin, and little Louis's cherubic face stared back at her. How would she tell them? How would she tell William? The hours crawled by like years. Catherine canceled her afternoon engagements, citing a minor illness. Her staff noticed something was wrong but respected her privacy. She sat in their garden, watching the October leaves fall, each one reminding her how fragile life could be. As evening approached, Catherine heard the familiar sound of William's car pulling into the private entrance. Her heart raced. She had rehearsed the words 100 times, but they all seemed inadequate now. Through the window, she watched him stride toward the door, still in his formal suit from the day's ceremonies. The moment he entered their apartment, William knew something was terribly wrong. Catherine's face, usually bright with warmth, was pale and drawn. Without a word, she walked into his arms, her body shaking with silent sobs. William held her tight, his own heart beginning to pound with fear. They stood there for what felt like hours, neither speaking. William stroked her hair gently, waiting for her to find the words. Finally, Catherine pulled back slightly, looking up into his concerned blue eyes. Her voice was barely a whisper as she shared the news that would test their strength like never before. The palace had known challenges before, but this was personal, raw, and heartbreaking in ways the public could never imagine. As Catherine spoke, William's face transformed from confusion to shock, then to a deep, protective love. He pulled her close again, and this time, they both wept. Outside their private quarters, life at the palace continued as normal. Staff went about their duties, unaware of the emotional storm brewing behind closed doors. The royal couple had always been masters at maintaining composure in public. But tonight, in the safety of each other's arms, they allowed themselves to be simply human. William guided Catherine to their sofa, never letting go of her hand. They talked through the night, sharing fears, making plans, and drawing strength from each other. The conversation was interrupted only by quiet moments of shared silence, where words seemed unnecessary. As dawn broke over London, they had made a decision. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. William called his private secretary, requesting to clear his schedule for the next few days. Catherine did the same. The palace machinery began to move, preparing for an announcement that would need careful handling. The children woke to find both parents home, an unusual treat on a school day. Over breakfast, William and Catherine exchanged glances, silently agreeing to preserve this moment of normalcy. George chattered about his football practice, Charlotte showed off a drawing she'd made, and Louis demanded extra jam on his toast. Later that morning, after the children had been taken to school, Catherine and William met with their senior advisors. The room was tense as they shared the news. Their team, loyal and discreet, immediately began working on a communication strategy. The public would need to know, but timing and tone were crucial. Catherine insisted on writing the statement herself. She sat at her desk, William standing behind her with his hands on her shoulders, as she carefully chose each word. The statement needed to be honest but not alarming, personal but maintaining appropriate boundaries. As she wrote, memories flooded back. Their early days at St. Andrews University, their fairy tale wedding, the birth of each child. Every joy now seemed more precious in light of this challenge. William squeezed her shoulders gently, reading over the draft. The palace communications team reviewed the statement, making minor adjustments while preserving Catherine's authentic voice. They scheduled the release for the following morning, giving them one more night of privacy before the world would know. That evening, William arranged for Catherine's favorite meal to be prepared. They dined alone in their private dining room, candles flickering between them. The conversation was lighter now, filled with memories and even some laughter. They had found their footing together. After dinner, they walked through their private garden. The October air was crisp, and Catherine pulled her cardigan closer. William wrapped his arm around her, and they stood looking up at the stars. In that moment, despite everything, they felt grateful for each other. The children returned from their activities, filling the apartment with noise and life. Catherine and William exchanged another glance, saving the difficult conversation for another day. Tonight, they would simply be Mummy and Daddy, reading bedtime stories and tucking in their precious ones. As the palace grew quiet, Catherine and William prepared for bed. Tomorrow would bring challenges, public scrutiny, and difficult days ahead. But tonight, they had each other. William held Catherine close as they lay in the darkness, whispering words of love and encouragement. The clock on their bedside table ticked past midnight. In just hours, the palace would release the statement that would change how the world saw them. But in this moment, they were simply two people in love, facing life's uncertainties together. Catherine felt William's breathing slow as he drifted off to sleep, his arms still wrapped protectively around her. She lay awake a while longer, drawing strength from his presence. Whatever tomorrow brought, she knew she wouldn't face it alone. The first part of their journey through this heartbreaking moment was ending, but it was really just the beginning. The palace walls had witnessed many historic moments, but perhaps none as personally profound as this. As London slept, two souls prepared for a battle that would test every ounce of their courage. The palace statement was released at exactly 9 a.m. Within minutes, the news had circled the globe. Catherine watched from her window as reporters gathered outside the palace gates, their cameras ready to capture any glimpse of the royal couple. The carefully worded announcement had revealed just enough while maintaining their privacy. William stood beside her, his hand resting on her lower back. They had prepared for this moment, but the reality of it still felt surreal. Their phones buzzed constantly with messages from family, friends, and fellow royals offering support. Each message was a reminder that they weren't alone in this fight. The Queen was among the first to call. Her voice, usually formal and measured, was warm with grandmotherly concern. She offered the use of Balmoral for recovery and rest. Away from the public eye, Charles called next, his voice thick with emotion, as he struggled to find the right words for his beloved daughter-in-law. Catherine's parents, Michael and Carol, arrived at the palace within hours. The moment Catherine saw her mother, the composure she had maintained all morning crumbled. Carol held her daughter, as she had when Catherine was young, whispering soothing words and stroking her hair. Meanwhile, William met with the palace medical team. The best specialists in London had been consulted, and a treatment plan was already in motion. William took meticulous notes, asking detailed questions about every aspect of Catherine's care. His military training showed in his methodical approach to gathering intelligence. The children came home from school that afternoon, accompanied by their protection officers who had shielded them from the media frenzy. George, old enough to sense something was wrong, looked at his parents with worried eyes. Charlotte clung to Catherine's hand, while Louis remained blissfully unaware. That evening, William and Catherine sat down with George and Charlotte. Using simple words and lots of reassurance, they explained that Mummy wasn't feeling well and would need special medicine to get better. George asked practical questions while Charlotte wanted to know if she could help take care of Mummy. The first treatment session was scheduled for the following week. Catherine spent the days preparing, both physically and mentally. She created memory boxes for each child, filling them with letters, photos, and small treasures. William found her one night, writing letters by lamplight, tears streaming down her face. The morning of the first treatment arrived too quickly. Catherine dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that made her feel strong. William drove them himself, taking a private route to avoid the photographers who had maintained a constant vigil outside the palace. The medical facility was discreet and private. The staff, sworn to confidentiality, treated them with professional kindness. As Catherine was prepared for treatment, William never left her side. He held her hand through every step, his presence a constant anchor. The treatment itself was harder than Catherine had imagined. The physical effects were immediate and challenging. William helped her back to the car afterwards, supporting her weight as she leaned against him. The drive home was quiet, both lost in their own thoughts. Back at the palace, Catherine retreated to their bedroom. William canceled all engagements, determined to be present for every moment. He brought her tea, read to her when she couldn't sleep, and simply sat beside her during the worst moments. The children adapted with the resilience that only young ones possess. They created get-well cards, picked flowers from the garden, and performed impromptu plays to make Mummy smile. Their innocent joy became a powerful medicine in itself. Days turned into weeks. Each treatment session brought its own challenges. Catherine's appearance began to change, but her spirit remained unbroken. She insisted on maintaining some normal activities, joining the children for meals when she felt able and helping with homework from her bed. The press, surprisingly respectful, had agreed to give the family privacy. Only official updates were released, carefully managed by the palace press office. Public support poured in from around the world. Cards, flowers, and messages of hope arrived by the thousands. William transformed into Catherine's fiercest protector and gentlest caregiver. He learned to anticipate her needs, from preparing anti-nausea tea to adjusting pillows just so. Their relationship, already strong, deepened in ways neither had imagined possible. One particularly difficult night, Catherine woke in pain. William was instantly alert, holding her as she weathered the storm. As dawn broke, she looked at him with wonder. Even exhausted and unshaven, he had never looked more handsome to her. Love, she realized, was most beautiful in its raw, unguarded moments. The palace staff rallied around the family. The kitchen prepared special meals to tempt Catherine's appetite. The housekeeping staff ensured fresh flowers daily. The children's nanny coordinated activities to keep young minds occupied and happy. Catherine's siblings, Pippa and James, became regular visitors. They brought normalcy and laughter, sharing family jokes and memories. Pippa often stayed overnight, giving William a chance to rest while she kept Catherine company through difficult hours. Midway through the treatment plan, scans showed promising results. The medical team was cautiously optimistic. William and Catherine celebrated quietly, aware that the journey was far from over but grateful for this glimmer of hope. The children's school organized a special assembly, where classmates created a giant card for the princess. George carried it home proudly, Charlotte adding her own decorations before presenting it to their mother. These small gestures meant more than any royal honor ever could. Catherine began a journal, documenting her journey. Writing became therapeutic, a way to process the emotional roller coaster. William often found her writing in their garden, wrapped in blankets, finding peace in nature and words. Royal duties couldn't be postponed indefinitely. William began taking on selected engagements, always returning home as quickly as possible. Catherine encouraged this, knowing that service to others was part of who they were. During one of William's absences, Catherine experienced a setback. The treatment reaction was severe, requiring emergency medical attention. William raced back, breaking protocol and speed limits. He arrived to find her stable but shaken, and vowed never to leave her side again. The incident led to a restructuring of their lives. Royal duties were redistributed, with other family members taking on additional responsibilities. The Queen herself made a rare public statement, expressing full support for William's decision to prioritize his wife's care. As autumn turned to winter, Catherine faced her treatments with growing determination. Each session was a battle won. Each good day, a victory to celebrate. The children adapted their drawings to show Mummy as a warrior princess, fighting dragons and winning. The second phase of their journey was drawing to a close, but the fight was far from over. They had learned that love wasn't just about the fairy tale moments but about showing up for each other in the darkest hours. The palace walls, witnesses to so much history, now held the story of a very modern love tested by very real challenges. Winter's grip on London was fierce, but inside Kensington Palace, warmth prevailed. Catherine had completed the main course of her treatment, and the waiting game had begun. These weeks of uncertainty were perhaps the hardest. each day bringing hope and anxiety in equal measure. William had transformed their private apartment into a healing sanctuary. Soft lighting replaced harsh overheads, healing crystals from well-wishers adorned windowsills, and fresh flowers arrived daily. He had even learned meditation techniques to practice with Catherine during anxious moments. The Christmas season approached, bringing its own challenges. Royal Christmas traditions were sacred, but William was prepared to break them all if necessary. The Queen, showing remarkable flexibility, arranged for traditions to be adapted. If Catherine couldn't travel to Sandringham, Sandringham would come to her. On a snowy December morning, the crucial test results arrived. William and Catherine sat together in their study, hands clasped tightly as the doctor delivered the news over a secure video call. The treatment had been successful. The immediate threat had passed, though continued monitoring would be essential. The relief was overwhelming. Catherine collapsed into William's arms, this time, tears of joy streaming down both their faces. They held each other for long minutes, absorbing the magnitude of the moment. Their prayers, and those of millions around the world, had been answered. The children burst into the room, having been kept home from school in anticipation. William scooped them all into a giant family embrace, simply saying, "Mummy's getting better." George whooped with joy. Charlotte danced around the room. And Louis, understanding the happiness if not the reason, laughed with pure delight. That evening, the palace released a simple statement sharing the positive news. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Bells rang at Westminster Abbey. Crowds gathered outside the palace singing hymns of thanksgiving, and messages of congratulation poured in from world leaders. Catherine insisted on appearing at the window to wave to the well-wishers. Weak but determined, she stood with William's arm around her waist, their children beside them. The crowd erupted in cheers, many crying at the sight of their beloved princess. The recovery phase brought its own challenges. Catherine's body needed time to heal, and the emotional toll required equal attention. William arranged for the best therapists, ensuring Catherine had support to process the trauma of recent months. Slowly, life began to find a new rhythm. Catherine started with short walks in the palace gardens, William always beside her. These walks became precious times of reconnection, planning their future, with newfound appreciation for every moment. The children blossomed with the return of normalcy. Their drawings shifted from warrior princesses to family portraits, all holding hands under rainbow skies. Catherine kept every one, creating an album that documented their journey through innocent eyes. Spring arrived with symbolic timing. As London burst into bloom, Catherine felt her own strength returning. She began taking on light duties, carefully selected video calls and messages to charities close to her heart. Each small step was celebrated. The first public appearance was carefully orchestrated. Catherine chose a cause related to her recent experience, visiting a cancer treatment center. Walking through those familiar corridors, now as a survivor rather than patient, was deeply emotional. Her genuine understanding brought comfort to current patients. William never left her side during the visit. His protective presence was noted by all, a duke clearly devoted to his duchess. When Catherine grew tired, he seamlessly stepped in, allowing her to rest while maintaining the visit's momentum. The press coverage was respectful and celebratory. Photos showed a thinner but radiant Catherine, her smile genuine as she spoke with patients and staff. The public response was overwhelming, with social media flooded with messages of love and admiration. Private life remained the priority. Family dinners became sacred time. Devices banned as they shared their days. William had learned to cook Catherine's favorite meals during her illness, a skill he continued to develop. The children delighted in Daddy's sometimes creative culinary experiments. Catherine's parents remained close, visiting weekly. The bond between mother and daughter had deepened through shared tears and triumph. Carol often spoke of her pride, not in Catherine's royal status but in her incredible strength and grace under pressure. The experience had changed them all. William's priorities had crystallized. Family came first. Always. He restructured his royal duties to ensure maximum time at home. The palace adapted, recognizing that a new model of royal service was emerging. Catherine began writing a book about her experience, hoping to help others facing similar battles. William supported this fully, knowing that sharing their story could bring hope to thousands. The proceeds would go to medical research and patient support. Their marriage, tested in the crucible of crisis, emerged stronger than ever. They had seen each other at their most vulnerable and found deep wells of strength. Date nights became regular again. Simple dinners where they could be just William and Catherine. The children showed remarkable resilience. George had matured, taking his big brother role seriously. Charlotte had developed a nurturing side, always checking if Mummy needed anything. Louis, still young, simply radiated joy at having both parents present and engaged. Summer brought a special celebration: Catherine's birthday. William planned every detail, creating a day filled with her favorite things. The children performed a play they'd secretly rehearsed. The garden was decorated with handmade banners, and friends and family gathered for an intimate party. As the sun set on that perfect day, Catherine stood in their garden, surrounded by everyone she loved. William raised a toast, his voice thick with emotion as he spoke of courage, love, and gratitude. There wasn't a dry eye in the gathering. The journey that had begun with a devastating phone call had transformed them all. They had learned that true strength comes not from titles or tradition but from love, support, and the courage to face each day together. The Palace press office prepared to release Catherine's first major interview since her recovery. She spoke candidly about fear, hope, and the incredible support that had carried her through. Her words would inspire millions facing their own battles. As autumn returned, marking a year since that fateful diagnosis, the family took a private holiday. Walking along a windswept beach, children running ahead collecting shells, William and Catherine paused. They looked back at the journey traveled, forward to the future they'd nearly lost. William pulled Catherine close, kissing her forehead gently. They had faced the unthinkable and emerged not unscathed, but unbroken. The palace, the titles, the duties, all paled compared to this moment. This life they'd fought to preserve. The fairy tale had faced its darkest chapter and found a new ending. Not happily ever after in the simple sense, but something deeper. A love tested by fire, a family bonded by trial, and a future appreciated with every breath. The heartbreaking moment that had threatened to destroy them had instead revealed the unbreakable strength of love.